I can tell, and you've just told me. I do wonder about like the amount of work you put in, your dedication to your job at the time, how that did affect your family and your home life, and essentially the consequences of working so much.
I mean, it affected it tremendously. And I think that the working so much was only a small part of it. I think a bigger part of it was the fact that, my family was such a big part of the vlog for so long. Like when my older daughter now turned 1, or like 11 months, we stopped putting her in any videos in any social media. It's like the first time when she turned 1 was when the vlog was like 4 or 5 months old. And I realized that like, whoa, there's an audience here. People are watching this. I don't want to put my kids out there in this capacity anymore. And I stopped putting them out there. But even so, that aside, my relationship with my wife was a big part of the narrative. My relationship with my kids, as far as me being a father, was a big part of it.
Yeah.
And I think the social implications of that were as impactful, if not more, than the sheer hours I was working. And the implications of that were things like, if Candace and I weren't in a good place with our marriage, there's no fucking way she was going to like be chipper when I pointed a camera at her.
Oh, yeah.
And by chipper, I mean willing in any capacity. I mean anything but her putting her hand over the lens saying, turn that fucking thing off. So I used to like avoid fights with her, avoid arguments with her. I very deliberately used to quell any disagreements we'd have because I needed her for content.
Yeah.
And
then
looking
your
back at
whole
that,
life,
what a crazy thing that is.
Yeah.
It's like I'm disturbing the way that the world should work because I need content.
Yeah.
And I don't think that I'm like a particularly like maniacal person, but it does make me stop and think when I see much more invasive family vloggers. I don't mean this as a judgment. I mean this as a genuine curiosity. But people who rely so much on their children, who aren't babies but are 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 years old, they rely on them for content. I was trying to rely on my wife, who's my age, and I could rationalize for content. And I could feel the burden I was putting on her.
I have the same thoughts, and yeah, I don't necessarily want to like call out anyone or make them look bad, but it feels wrong to me to rely on a child, even if it seems like the child wants to be involved and it's fun. They just don't know yet the full picture like an adult knows.
You guys know the EB family?
Yeah, exactly. That's we're familiar with them. Yeah, and they're really nice.
I
really
fucking love them.
Yeah, he's a sweetheart.
I love those. I think they're doing everything right is where I'm going with them. And this is a huge priority of theirs. And we've had this discussion before. And they go to a really extreme place, which is like, what are the labor laws about putting your kids in videos? Like how do you quantify the value that they're bringing to the content?
Are there?
Is that value going back to them?
There aren't.
Well, that's the point.
Yeah.
Is that there's nobody's looking at. And then these revenues being generated because these children are creating content. Where does that money go? Is it parents that are keeping that, or is it kids? I think these are all really smart questions that can be asked without pointing fingers. But just to bring it back to what you were asking, Ethan, it was just like, I was aware of it at the time, but only in retrospect do I look back and it's like, wow, the destructiveness of that on my own marriage and relationship was profound. And I talked to my wife about it now, and she says with no equivocation, she was like, you have not to me, because I did know, but she says publicly, she's like, you have no idea how close to divorce we were. Because it was like when I wasn't superficially being nice to get her to behave, to be in my videos, I was working. I was just working.
Right.
And that in itself, that's much more objective.
And how did it affect the relationship with your son too? Because your son, your age difference is very small. What's the age difference between you and your son?
Like 16 years.
16 years.
We're almost the same age.
Which is
so
totally
crazy.
Every time I see you guys together, it's really something. I mean, you guys must have a really unique relationship for that purpose. But I've seen videos of you kind of like celebrating his birthday or something, and you're vlogging the experience. Did he also feel the brunt of that?
Well, it's always been easier with Owen because he's old. And even like you go way back and you look at like my HBO show and you go back and you look at my really old content that he's in, he's always old enough to sort of consent and sign off. So like, when I think of some of the more, he went to college when I was about, I think, a year into the vlog, a little more than that. And when, you sort of look into that content, like he and I driving cross country, drop him off at school, there's always kind of a discussion. Like, do you want me to make videos? Do you mind if I make videos about this stuff? Do you want to be in them? Do you not want me to do it? And he could always give me a very thoughtful response, which I think without exception was always like, yeah, let's make videos.
Did he ever say no?
Owens never said no. In fact, recently, and this both made me sad and then really proud, recently he was like, can we take a trip together? Because we haven't made a video together in a really long time. And it made me sad because we haven't made a video together in a long time, but it also made me like, it was the first time that he really sort of showed me unprovoked that he's not just doing this because he thinks he's supposed to, or he's not just doing this because he thinks I want him to do it, but it's something that he does like. And and like, it's very different from like Francine, my daughter, now being like, I want to be on YouTube, which she says.
She says that?
Every kid say that though now.
She's 4, she's a baby, and the reason why is because like she watches JoJo Siwa. God bless her, I love JoJo. And she's like, I can do that, and she could. And she wants to do it, which is ironic because we don't have YouTube in our house.
What do you think about that?
For me, it's like a hard no until she's like 18 or something like that. It's just because I know that she has no idea what it means.
It's so
I
brutal.
was 34 or whatever, 35 when I started really putting myself out there on YouTube. I had no idea what it meant.
So brutal.
So how can a child have any understanding of what it means? Even JoJo, who I adore, and I never miss an opportunity to say how much I appreciate her, and I genuinely do. She's an amazing person. Like, the burden that's on her and the criticism that she gets for who she is, like, for being 15 years old and be able to handle that in any capacity shows how tough she is. But to subject a kid to that seems really...